Hello guys, and in this video we are going to look into some other options which are available for S3 buckets. And before starting this video guys, if you have not subscribed this channel yet, please subscribe the channel and get updated latest videos which we are going to upload for MicroStrategy BI tools, for analysts and for administrations and AWS classes. We are also uploading some HTML5, CSS videos on this YouTube channel free of cost. Thank you. So let's take a look into our next options which is available in S3, that is the multi-part uploads. So what is a multi-part upload? Let's say you have a big files. Let's say let's just say the 5 GB files you have, and it's you don't have the good internet connectivity. Whether you have the good internet connectivity, is still there. Let's say if there is something wrong happen in between when you are uploading the file into S3 buckets, and it's interrupted, so whole process going to be start from scratch. Right. So in that case, you what is a good option? That the good option is you can uh, upload your big file into the parts. So that's how multipart resolve some issues into S3 buckets. So to better let's see what it is. So to better supports uploading or copying of large objects, Amazon S3 it provides to you multipart upload API features. With the help of this, you can just divided your big file into the parts and uploaded them. So this allows you to upload large object as a set of parts, which generally gives better network utilization, the ability to pause and resume, and the ability to upload objects where the size is initially unknown. And multi-part upload is a three-step process. Basically, first you need to initiate, then upload the parts, and it's going to be complete in the third options. All right, and you should use the multi-part upload. It's already always recommended by AWS that if your file size is larger than 100 MB, then you must use multi-part to upload the file into S3. So here is the tips. So you can set an object lifecycle policy on a bucket to abort incomplete multipart uploads after a specified number of days. This will minimize the storage costs associated with the multipart uploads that were not completed. So let's say you were uploading the files, but they were not uploaded properly. There were some issues, so you can create some life cycle policies and deleted those failure multi-part files from your S3. So that's going to be that's your cost going to be reduced by object life cycles. And as we can upload the files into the multi-part, we also have the features to up to download the download the files into the parts. If let's say you have a big files and you don't require actually the complete file, so you can also download the files into the parts which is required portion. So it's also going to reduce your cost, your data retrieval costs. Right, so that's range gets API come into the picture. So it is possible to download or the get only a particular portion of an object which is stored into your S3 bucket and Amazon Glacier by using something called range get. Okay, so using the range HTTP header in the get request or the equivalent parameters in one of the SDK wrapper library, you have to specify a range of bytes of that objects, and then it's going to download that particular portions of objects into your system. This can be useful, in dealing with the large objects when you have poor connectivities, or to download only a none portion of a large glacier backups to your system. So this is how you can either upload the big file into the parts, or you can download with the help of RangeGate APIs into the parts. So this is a very cool features in S3 buckets. Okay, so let's move with the very interesting and another options available. That's the cross-region replications. So Amazon S3 replicates only specific items in buckets that are configured for the replications. If they are not configured for replications, that object's not going to be replicated. Okay. So by default, Amazon S3 replicates the following: the objects created after you added the replication configuration. If there are some objects resides into your S3 and you are enabling the replication afterwards, those objects are not going to be replicated. And objects, unencrypted objects, and object encrypted at rest under S3 management keys, SSE-S3 keys, or the CKMS stored in KMS services. So to replicate objects encrypted with the CMKS stored in AWS KMS, you must explicitly enable the options. The replicated copy of the object is encrypted using the same type of service side that was used for the source object as well. And you can replicate the object metadata and only objects in the source bucket for which the bucket owner has permissions to read objects and ACLs. Objects objects ACL updates unless you direct Amazon S3 to change the replica ownership when source and the destination buckets are not owned by the same accounts. Okay, so you can objects tab, if there are any tags specified to your objects, then they are also going to be replicate. And when Amazon S3 replicates objects that have retention information applied, it applies those same retention control to your replicas, overriding the default retention period configured on your destination buckets. So if you don't have retention control applied to the objects in your source bucket and you replicate into a destination bucket that has a default retention period sets, so the destination bucket's default retention period is applied to your objects replicas as well. So that's the reason cross region replica also came into the picture. You can also use the cross region replica into your bucket to replicate your data from one buckets to the another buckets. So here is the tips. If you turn on in an existing bucket, and cross region replication will only replicate the new objects, the existing objects will not be replicated and must be copied to the new buckets via a separate commands. All right, so that's uh, just keep in mind, if you have the some objects which were residing into your S3 buckets and your replication was not enabled, but you enable the replication later, those old objects not going to be replicate with your replications. You have to do it explicitly. All right, so next feature is the logging. Logging, basically you can record the actions that are taken by users, role, or AWS services into your S3 bucket. And to do this, you can use the S3 server access logging, AWS CloudTrail logs, or you can have the combination of both the CloudTrail logs and the server access logging. I recommend that you should use the CloudTrail log for the logging buckets and object level actions for your AWS S3 resources. We will look into it why we recommended the AWS CloudTrail instead of the object level, the server access logging features. So you can store access logs in the same bucket or in the different buckets. It's depend on you. Once enabled, logs are delivered once on a best effort basis with a slight delay. They will be just you can say the real time, but they will not be real time. There will be slightly delay and just very slight delay. Okay. And logs includes few information. Let's say the requester accounts and the IP address, bucket name, request times, actions, what actions they perform, and response status or the error code, whether they were successfully access your buckets or not. So you can get it. So in the next slide, why we recommended the CloudTrail, let's take a look. So this table, just take a look into this table because it's not a uh, feasible to read all the features, but AWS CloudTrail definitely have advantage on the Amazon S3 server logs. It's give you the can be forwarded to other systems, deliver logs more than one destination at a time. It doesn't turn on logs for a subject of objects, and a lot of options you can see we can have into AWS CloudTrail. We will take a look what is the CloudTrail into our coming videos. Okay. So let's move into our next slides. Another one is the event notifications. So we can also enable the notifications features. So you can get the notification when certain events happen into your buckets. And to enable the notifications, you must first add a notifications configurations that identifies the events you want Amazon S3 to publish and the destinations where you want Amazon S3 to send the notifications. And Amazon S3 event notifications are basically designed to be delivered at least once. And it also the event notification can also be used to send an Amazon SQS or Amazon SNS messages, or to trigger an AWS Lambda function when an object is created or deleted. So that's also it can also be utilized into SQS or SNS to or even trigger the Lambda functions. We will also take a look into what is the SQS and what's the SNS and what's the Lambda function into our coming videos of this course. So if two writes are made to a single non-version object at the same time, so it is possible that only a single event notifications will be sent. Okay, so it could be a possibilities. And if you want to ensure that an event notification is sent for every successful write, you can enable versioning on your buckets, and we'll look into how we can enable the versioning into our bucket in our last videos. If you haven't seen, just watch that particular videos to enable the versioning for your buckets. And S3 can also publish the notification when the new create objects are created, when objects are removed, or when objects are deleted. Okay, so that's also you can publish the notification. You can even also set up the notification based on the object name prefix or the suffix. Based on them, you can also use. You can also set up even notifications, let's say with the name of prefix or the suffix. It's depend. You can use into the multiple or into the multiple scenarios. So here is our tips for this event notifications. Let's say if you are using Amazon S3 in a get intensive mode, such as a static website hosting for best performance, you should consider using an Amazon CloudFront distribution as a caching layer in front of your S3 buckets to provide the uh, better performance for the end user. So we will look into it, the CloudFront, into our coming videos as well, what they are. So all these are the event notifications. We have take a look that what the event notifications are, what's the versioning is, and how we what's the CloudTrail have the more features than the server access logging into this video, and we will look into how to use all of them into our next lab videos. Thank you guys.